Deb, are you recording?
For fuck's sake, just stop talking about your willies.
Okay,
I haven't
Deb's
even
recording.
talked about my penis yet, Deb. Wu-Tang forever. Wu-Tang forever.
Yeah.
But
All
that's
right.
a given.
Are you ready to start the podcast?
We haven't started yet?
Well, it's probably started. Daniel always decides when he starts putting on the show, but I think this is all good content.
This is great.
I think so, too. How are you?
You know what I realized is that you got a big birthday coming up.
5-0.
I've been thinking, I just had a fucking genius idea what to get you, and I'm very excited about it.
Does it have something to do with stop motion animation? Let's say a motion control rig?
Oh, is that what you want?
No, I'm just saying it could be.
I don't think
Listen,
you'd use
Industrial
that. I
Light
think
and Magic. Dear, you don't think I would use a motion control rig? Are you kidding me? Dear Industrial Light and Magic, I know you guys are my friends. There's a mini motion control rig that you have that everybody has except for me.
What is it called?
It's the mini rig. It's the mini rig.
But would you really set that up and use it?
Yeah, for sure. Like all of the stuff that I do.
If I spend some fortune amount of money on this mini rig and I come over your house and it's in fucking cardboard boxes and you're like, bro, come on outside, I'm lighting a doobie, I'm gonna be so upset.
You would never have to worry about that with me. This shit's so expensive. Look, this shit is so expensive, I don't think you're gonna buy it.
What are you talking about, like 20 grand? More?
Yeah, like that.
Oh.
What's it called? I want to look it up.
Yeah, look it up, Dan. I'll see what the cost is. It's
Moco.
the mini rig.
I got to know what it's called.
Motion control mini rig for Donald. I wasn't planning on spending 20 grand on your birthday, but it is your 50th.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, Daniel's figuring out how much this rig costs because I love you and you are turning 50. I didn't really have 20 grand in my budget for your birthday, but I do love you.
Well, you got Krista a horse.
I didn't get. Oh, that was funny. Forgot that conversation. We did get
you not
Krista.
get her the horse?
We did get her. Well, that's from our joint account, by the way. I sent her a $250,000 horse.
Good.
Hope that's okay.
Well, then, yeah, I'm going to need some of that back for this motion control rig.
All right. Well, Daniel's going to figure out how much it costs. I probably won't spend 20 grand on you, even though I love you so much. But what are you doing? What are the plans?
You know, my
Joel,
wife,
Donald has a 50th birthday coming up. Is that what it is? 50?
Yeah.
What's the dream?
You know, I don't really have a dream for my 50th. I thought the dream was a big ass party. I think my parents are coming into town, which is really cool, and that'll be fun. But I don't really have a dream for my 50th.
Buddy, you got to make a dream. We got to get a whiteboard. Yeah, like.
Why did you turn melancholic all of a sudden? You see, we gotta whiteboard this shit. We gotta create
like
something.
There's nothing to.
Yeah, I don't like the attitude. You like your shoulders slumped. You got sad body.
Well, I don't got Wi-Fi's right now, but I definitely am. I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to turning 50. I don't know how I want to turn 50, and because I don't know how, anything's up for like after Krista's party. There's no party that can be thrown.
No, but come on, you don't need to go like that. Why don't you do? You couldn't make my party, but why don't you do something small like I did? I had 25 people, a meal at a restaurant. You get a private room. Like, why not at least do that?
It's so not up to me.
Who's it up to?
Oh, you mean Casey's planning it? You're allowed to weigh in on your 50th.
Yeah, that's true.
You have a weird attitude about it. It's like
I like to work on my birthday. A lot of people don't like that. That's my goal, is working on my birthday always. My birthday's on a weekend this year, so
you probably won't be working.
The chances of that happening aren't really. But that's like my dream.
But is the
dream
onus
is to work on my birthday?
Okay, well that's not gonna happen. Is the onus on me to plan something, or is Casey planning something?
No, it's the onus isn't on anyone to plan anything.
Well, I'm your bestie, and you got sad body when you talk about your 50th, so I need to step up.
Well, you don't need to step up.
I gotta call Casey after this.
Yeah, you guys get on the phone. I don't think anything's happening.
That's not acceptable. But she's a really good wife. I bet she might be cooking something up.
No, I know my family's coming in. She got my mom and dad are coming to visit and everything like that.
Why don't we throw at the very least, a dinner with all the people you love? What do you really want if you could have anything? I don't mean money. I don't mean an easy rig. We'll figure out how much a mini rig is. But like, if you could for the party, what could the party be? Your dream party? Oh,
you're asking me for a dream party? I don't have a dream party. But if I could really have something,
yes,
a budget for a stop motion short That would be
really want to
great.
be working. Donald said my vision
Okay.
is to be put to work. And okay, I feel the vibes.
What is it, Donald? You want? That's what you don't. You don't even want to party. You'd like everyone to contribute a budget for you to make a short film.
Fuck it, why not? Look,
That's what you want?
50,
Okay.
50.
So
I have no. I don't like to. I realize I don't necessarily like to get drunk. So when I get drunk now,
Well, why does it be drunk, bro? I didn't want to get drunk either, so I had a brunch. I did a 25-person brunch. No one got. I mean, there was booze for people that wanted mimosas or anything, but it wasn't a drunk thing.
Right. I don't know, bro.
All right.
I don't know
Well,
why.
I'm
I
going
got
to talk
on
to Casey about it.
melancholic.
What
I
about
don't know why I got on
paintball? What about paintball?
That's what I really wanted to do.
Let's
but it's
do
gonna
that.
Be so hot,
Who
man.
cares? God, you're such a fucking Eeyore right now.
I don't know,
Paintball.
Pooh.
Paintball.
I
I'm
would
gonna
love
fucking.
to go paintball.
I'm gonna take your mom out with.
And I
fucking
know-
do,
and
do,
I
do,
know-
do, do, do.
Lace her. I don't think my mom would make it.
Would Shirley play paintball?
Hell no. She'd stay back. She'd be like, "Oh, you guys go ahead."
What if we
I'ma
put
stay
her?
at the house.
What if we posted her up in like a sniper position?
She'd be like, "You guys go ahead. I'm gonna stay at the house."
What if we? Shirley likes an occasional bit of ganja, right?
I don't know. I caught my mom smoking weed once. It was the most awkward moment ever because she was like, she was smoking weed and she didn't want nobody. Like it was, she was smoking and it was at the end of a blunt and she was smoking. First of all, she was smoking a blunt. And she and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And she was just finished. She was like putting it out, like trying. And I'm like, "What the fuck? You might as well just finish the shit now. Like, why are you trying to hide the
That's
shit?"
funny. So what if
But she
Shirley?
wanted to get that extra.
My wish for your birthday is that we give Shirley a blunt and a sniper position at the paintball.
No.
Yes.
No.
Daniel,
My mom would
Daniel's
not.
in New York. Joelle, you would come to paintball.
Yeah, and take that sniper position with the blunt if it's still being offered. Let's go.
Right. That's the.
All right.
That's
Can
what it's about.
Joelle, if your mom's not going to take the blunt sniper position, can Joelle have that?
Absolutely. But let's go play paintball. I mean, we could go play paintball. That would
I'm
be
a
fun.
All
Great
right,
shot.
good. That's
Let's
one
do
thing I
this.
worked out. Good. That's on the list. By the way, Glendale, I passed it, has a laser tag still. They got old school laser tag.
It's so
Laser
fun.
tag
It's
isn't
a
as
really
fun.
cool
Oh, see,
course.
Joel,
Have
I
you been there?
disagree with you.
Joelle, have you been to,
Yeah,
have
my
you been to
friend
one in
had
Glendale?
her 26th birthday party there.
Wait, the
2
one in
years ago.
Glendale?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just keep driving by it, and I'm like, I can't believe someone
How
still has
big is
laser
it?
tag.
How big is the one in Glendale? Because there's one in Sherman Oaks that is. We take the kids for that one, and it's a lot of fun for the kids, but not necessarily for the adults.
It's about the same
Well, I
size
would
as the
wanna
one
do
in
an
Sherman
adult-
Oaks. I have been to multiple
Yeah.
laser tags.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. So wait, Daniel, did you find out how much the mini rig costs?
I still can't find exactly the one you're talking about. There's lots of motion control rigs, but like I don't know the exact model you're
It's
talking
old.
about.
Here's the thing: it's an old rig, and
Oh.
the dude that makes it only makes a few of them every year.
Oh, well, then how was
And-
we supposed to find that on the
Well,
interwebs?
he's one of those finicky people too. So like when you get on the phone with him, even after you've struck the deal, he's like, "Well, I'm making a bunch for this company right now, and if there's one left over for you, I'll call you. But I want to warn you, this is about 30 grand." And you're like, "Yeah,
Oh.
okay, I get that. Sure,
All
I
right.
still want to
Oh,
buy
so
it."
now
He's
you
like,
know it's 30 grand. I bet you could find one that isn't that much money. I mean, there's
well, yeah, there's used ones.
30 grand might be like the premier version. What if you got like a
There's
slightly
no. This is the only version of this. It's a 10. It's not even 10 feet. It's like a really tiny. The track is like maybe 4 feet, and it's up. You put it on a table. The rig itself is. It looks old school. It comes with an arm, and the arm comes out, and you mount your your camera on it, and it's a tiny rig. It's like a table.
And for those that don't know, this would enable you to, while you're doing stop motion, have the camera move and dolly and crane up in the world of your figures, right?
Right. Well, what I could do is I could do a shot with the camera doing it, and then I would remove all of the figures and redo the shot with just the camera doing it. That way I could superimpose it all. Or with
Okay.
spaceships, do flybys.
But you're not
or with-
open to accepting a lesser expensive version.
There is no lesser expensive version.
I'm sure there is. That's not true. You're saying you're basically saying, hey man, I want a Porsche. And I'm saying, hey, what if I got you like a really sick Miata? And you're like, no, Porsche or nothing.
You must think I'm crazy. I would never say no to a Miata. I would never say no to any car if it was offered to me. Like, that's what I don't understand.
Right. So
like,
what I'm telling you is you're saying I want this thing, right? And it's 30 grand. And I'm saying, bro, wait, just let me finish my sentence. And I'm saying, I'll bet with my connections, if I do recon, I could probably find a sick version that's not everything you want, but it's maybe 10 grand. And you're like, I don't want that shit.
I don't think there's a 10 grand version of this, is my point.
Daniel's gonna spend the rest of the episode searching for one. I hear you. All right, I'm gonna go a different route then for your present. I have a good idea.
Yo, do we really got the CIA up on the show today?
Yeah, we have 2 CIA agents. We got a lot of questions for them.
Shit.
But before we get to them, I wanted to tell you that I finally watched Dune 2.
I'm proud of you.
I'm so embarrassed that I didn't go see this movie in the theater. What a fucking masterpiece.
Epic.
So good.
Yeah.
It is a masterpiece. I mean, it is the most. Is that the prettiest sci-fi movie ever?
Gorgeous.
It's up there, bro. It's up there.
Yeah, maybe.
The only thing that I didn't like was the end when he's having the conference with the Emperor, and it's because
Spoiler alert.
We should say spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Right,
Skip like a couple minutes because we're gonna talk about Dune 2 for a second.
the when he's having the conversation with the Emperor, it was weird how it was lit on him, but then you pan back and then there's a bunch of same type of situations all over, and it's like, well, how did everybody hear him and hear this conversation if the whole, if not only the planet, but everybody's, there's a lot of people listening at the end of him taking control of
right. But that's nitpicking. Let's talk about the production design, the costume design, the cinematography. I mean, my jaw was on the floor. I mean, every single costume is more mind-blowing than the next. If that doesn't win, what movie could possibly come along and beat that movie for production design, cinematography, costumes?
Oh, I'm sure you could find some simple movie that could do that also, though, man, with beauty and touch, and you know what I mean, like
visual effects. There's not a single
visual effects. I mean,
I never seen a movie before where I went, like, because I'm in the business, I can spot the shots. I go, wow, that's pretty cool. I know what they did, and that's cool. It looks good. Mm-hmm. This movie, there's not a single shot that doesn't look real.
That's true.
It's incredible.
Had a big budget. You render something.
I read it was $165 million.
Wow.
And it looks like it, man. It looks like it.
Yeah, but it is.
And
epic.
by the way, let's talk about the actors for a second. Obviously, I'm biased, and Flo is beautiful and amazing. Every single actor in that movie, I was sitting there going, is the best at their type.
Yeah,
whether you're Walken or you're Chalamet or you're Rebecca, what's her name? I love
Ferguson.
her.
She's amazing.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
You are the best of that type.
Ooh.
That is the most baller cast.
Yeah, you got Zendaya, the best of that type.
Every single person.
Well, I'm just saying, man. I told you about this before. That movie's fucking phenomenal.
I really am embarrassed that I didn't see it on a big screen. I hope that one day they reproject it so I can go see it. But I did have to turn the subtitles on at a certain point. I know like the young kids do that these days, but I couldn't understand at certain points what the fuck anybody was saying.
It's a little quiet.
It's also like there's so much like grunting and yelling. You're like, wait, what did he just grunt? And there's also so many of the languages, right? And you're like, wait, was that English or was that in the language? And was that a key plot point that was just grunted? So I realized like, oh, dude, let me try subtitles. I really usually don't watch movies with subtitles, but for Dune 2, it did help because you're like, okay, it'll just say like nonsensical grunting, and you're like, okay, good, I didn't miss anything.
What's really crazy is that you can see where George Lucas got Star Wars. You can see where like there's so many different things in this movie where it's like, wow, a lot of people took from this novel and I would
imagine
with it.
And I would imagine George Martin, right? There's a lot of Game of Thrones in this.
Dude, there's everything in it. You can,
right? Why are you laughing, Daniel?
Just George R.R. Martin. George Martin is the producer for the Beatles. So when you said that, I was like, George.
Oh, George.
Yes, George R.R. Martin.
If George R.R. Martin's books, I assume, came out were written after Dune.
Well, after.
Okay, well, he was definitely inspired by this.
Yeah, the sandworm riding scene. Amazing.
Yes.
That scene in theaters.
It wasn't that in Jedi? What didn't he put a sandworm?
No,
Yes, there is a
no.
What's
There's
the
no
thing in
sandworm
Jedi?
riding.
What's
That's
the thing
Sarlacc.
that? No,
The
what's
Sarlacc.
isn't the Sarlacc a total bite off this?
Kind of is.
No, where the bite comes in is there's a lot of a bite where the chosen one, you know what I mean? There's so many things that are. I mean, it all comes from. You could say it's from prophecies from before, mythologies from before.
Of course.
Of course. Like a lot of the stories that come out of Dune, you can see in in episode 1 through 6. It's a lot of that.
Of course, and the Force. I mean, it's the Force is all over this. Like he can foresee the paths, and he sees the way.
And he has control over people, and he can Jedi mind trick people, and he can do all of these things. Like one of the powers in the first one, him and his mom are captured, and she's like, "Yo, we can't get away because this motherfucker right here is deaf. I need you to work it so that you can get all these other cats to talk. To kill him, they got to kill him."
What
Dude,
about? Sorry, this one moment. It's a spoiler if you haven't turned off yet. Skip 30 seconds. What about when they cut to the future and his sister is Anya Taylor-Joy and she's got a tear fucking dripping down her face and you know she's going to be in 3?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fucking good.
Dude, the shit is fire, man. The Dune goes even way further into the future than you ever would imagine. Like light years into. Like this planet all of a sudden becomes habitable with fucking trains and shit on it. It's fucking crazy, dude.
Well, I guess I know that Florence has a big part in 3, and that's going to be so amazing. I'm in. 1 ticket sold. I will not miss 3 projected. All right, Joelle, tell us about these guests a little bit before they come in. They are CIA agents, retired.
Yes.
And they have a podcast now. And explain to me exactly what they do. It sounds fascinating. I have so many CIA questions,
So
but
do
go
I.
ahead.
Yeah, so John Sipher and Jerry O'Shea are their names. And I guess their job at the CIA used to be that they would create fake conspiracies and like try to work backwards and break down and understand how like the spread of conspiracies and how they impact like cultures and stuff. And so now they started a company. They've co-founded a company together called Spycraft Entertainment, where they consult with I think they develop their own films in-house and stuff, but they are also consultants on big projects where the CIA history is involved or people are trying to use agents in spycraft. And so they sort of like,
That's good.
yeah. So I'm excited to talk to them. Listened to a couple pods they've done. They're funny. They're guy friends. So I was like, I think these guys would be a good fit for Zach and Donald. So I hope this will be a fun conversation.
Well, let them in. They're probably in already because they're CIA agents. They've been in
They've been listening for.
They're ready to go.
All right, bring them in. They've been in this Riverside studio the whole time, and we didn't notice them.
We just
Let's how about we count in
us in,
first?
Donald.
5, 6, 7,
Here's some
8.
stories about a show we made about a bunch of docs and nurses and a janitor who loved to hate. I said he's got stories that you all should know. So gather round to hear our Scrubs Rewatch show with Zach and Donald.
Hi, gents.
Gentlemen, you've made your
Well-
first mistake, man.
Why, we let you guys in the room?
Poor judge of character, gentlemen.
Oh, God.
We have so many questions for you
Yes,
guys.
we have
we can't-
so many questions.
Like, are aliens real or is that a
Just
conspiracy
give us the
theory?
scoop on
Like,
aliens.
what-
Let's
what
just
the
start
heck-
off the bat.
Wait. Let's just start out with we can neither confirm nor deny, right? We're going to answer every question. That's going to be our response. So let's.
Really?
But that's
You're
how you
not-
start. How you start a conspiracy theory, obviously.
Wait, are you guys, when you go on podcasts, I know I want to talk about what you guys are up to, obviously, but are people must ask you the questions Donald and I want to ask you so badly, and you're going to say we can't answer
No,
that?
we're not.
No.
Okay.
You'll be surprised. No, we can talk a lot. Absolutely. yeah.
Okay. Now, during the pandemic, aliens seemed like they were coming in hard, and I remember some funny memes with people like "Not now, aliens." We're really fucked with the pandemic. Can you please come back in like a year? And then there was
did
some
it.
stuff. Then there was some stuff in Congress, like really looking at any evidence. I saw this fighter jet footage. I'm sure everybody saw that was
We
incredible.
saw what
with
they
this,
pulled out in was it Mexico City with the freaking
Fake baby
body?
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the fake.
yeah.
well,
all
that was
stuff.
clearly fake. But there was a fighter jet thing that really stuck with me. Was that where this fighter jet pilot was just freaking out about what he was seeing. And I wonder what you guys. Sorry if this is our first question for CIA agents, but we want to know about aliens.
Well, first of all, John, you want to set them right on agents, and maybe talk a little bit the show why we're doing this and all the rest of that. Yeah, that would be a good way to kick it off.
No, yeah, FBI people are called FBI agents, but in the CIA we're called officers.
Okay.
Our sources, we're in the espionage business, and we live overseas and run spies and sources, and we call them agents or sources or assets. And so
Assets. Okay.
so
Right.
but yeah, in terms of aliens, sure, let's talk about we have the podcast Mission Implausible, and we did an episode with Michael Ian Black, the comedian, who apparently is very into the whole alien thing. And frankly, I had no idea how many people truly are into the whole thing, and they are quite up to date on things. There is a office at the Department of Defense at the Pentagon who studies these things. A number of senators and congressmen have been pushing to provide money to get the U.S. government to put out what it knows about unidentified flying objects, or they call them UAPs now, whatever that is, unidentified aerial phenomena or
Whatever.
something
I
like
don't
that.
even know what yeah. I think.
And so there's great interest in it.
But let me set the stage for this. Right? So the Mission Implausible, which is the podcast we're doing, John and I, as former agency officers, we've rolled our cover back, so we can say that now. We were conspirators. We did conspiracies, but little ones, like a conspiracy like I work for the State Department, or if you're going to approach a North Korean missile scientist, you can't say, hey, I'm a CIA guy. You have to come in and say, I am a German businessman and I wish to work with you. Yeah, we will make money together. And so we make little conspiracies, and we're looking at like big conspiracies, and we're talking about like we've done conspiracies. We know how they don't work mostly, because most of the times they fuck up. The smaller, the better. And so we're looking at bigger conspiracies. So we're probably going to talk now about aliens and, all these big conspiracies. And we'll give you sort of like what it's really like inside of the agency and like how like we see the world really working. So bring on the aliens.
Well,
there are
right,
aliens,
well,
by the way.
I know.
And-
I
and-
understand.
and how come
They're
the aliens?
Guatemalans.
Right.
They're
How come the
Guatemalans.
aliens always come to America? What's that about? Like, how come America is always the number one spot? You don't ever hear about Russia ain't saying, listen, we got the aliens over here, man. What is it?
51.
Obviously, aliens are probably not under the purview of the CIA, but we just thought you might want to share some secrets with us.
If there's any stories that you have, we'd love to hear them.
We'd love to tell you, but there's no way we could kill both you and your audience that's listening in if we tell
You'd have
spill
to
the
kill
truth,
us.
right?
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, that's
Well,
tough.
it's funny, Donald, you bring that up, and that's one of the questions we thought we were being clever when we were asking Michael Ian Black, because he's a big UFO follower. We don't know much about it at all. And I said the same thing, like, well, why are they all coming here? Like if there's a phenomenon out there that comes to Earth, what does the US government have to do with it? Why are they all coming to the United States? And he schooled me like, oh, it's not true. They're all over, and these other places have reported things. And so,
Okay, so we'll have to have
apparently a lot out
Michael
there.
Ian Black on to ask about aliens.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question. I would imagine a lot of people in our audience would want to know is it seems like a very cool, exciting job. How does the CIA recruit people? What are the criteria for becoming a CIA? What did you say the term was?
Officer.
Non-agent officer.
Officer.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, good looks and charm, right? I mean, that goes without saying. Is now that
Right.
you're, yeah.
Well, charm has definitely got to be a part of it. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, it depends. So the CIA is, is the nation's intelligence organization. It's part of a larger intelligence community that includes the Department of Defense and NSA and all those places. But so the CIA has a big analytic cadre. So the people they're looking for there are almost like, university professors or experts on things.
I mean, agent. Fucking
Right.
A. I
So
keep
I'll
fucking
get to
that
that.
up.
I'll get to that.
I mean, people in the field, undercover, the cool
Right.
part, the James Bond shit.
Right. So that's what we did. We spent our career overseas, living in embassies undercover In our cases, we pretended to be State Department diplomats while we were overseas. And what they're looking for, in fact, nowadays, most people just apply online to the website. But what they're looking for is a variety of things. Obviously, people who are interested in foreign cultures, that like people and like foreigners, and developing relationships, because that's what we do, is we meet people overseas and try to develop a set of trust with them so that they might actually have secrets that they're willing to share with us. So they're looking for, people who like foreign cultures, that are interested in living overseas, that are pretty good at speaking languages, that are interested in the issues of the day, that write well, but also that have, they're comfortable operating on the streets under potential surveillance, a spatial awareness to determine whether they're under surveillance. It used to be when the CIA first started, there was from the OSS days in World War II, the idea was you're looking for essentially a PhD who could win a bar fight, is what they used to say.
That's cool.
So let's talk about the mission of the CIA, right? Because you group your people in to what they need to do. So if the U.S. government has a problem, right, or any democratic government has an issue, it looks to its toolkit, right? And it's like, oh, this is an issue with the military should do this, or the diplomats should do this, or Treasury should do this. But when it has a intractable issue that nobody knows how to solve, right? Like, Iranian missiles or North Korean nuclear program, or, how do you get inside the Kremlin? Nobody knows how to do that. So they turn to the CIA. So we get the hardest jobs that no one else knows how to do. So we recruit people who are able to deal with ambiguity, able to deal with failure, because a lot of what we do is like, I don't know if you're supposed to swear in this show, but really fucking hard, right?
Yeah,
it's really fucking hard. And we don't know. And the thing is, we don't know how to do it either, but we work to figure it out. So we're people who often are outside the box. We're rule abiders, but we understand, that we got to think outside of the box. So the FBI is law enforcement, they're cops, and we're essentially robbers, right? Espionage is illegal.
You're espionage, yeah.
So
it's all fair in love and war, baby.
Yeah.
So you're undercover, and then you're trying to recruit, just from watching TV shows, you're trying to recruit assets who will feed you information. Sometimes they know they're helping you for some reason, and sometimes they don't know they're helping you, right?
Almost always no, because what you want that person to be motivated to do what they want to do. What we want to do is develop a relationship of trust with a source, of someone who has access to secrets that the U.S. government can't get any other way, and then have that person work with us over time and maybe move up in their bureaucracy so that eventually we have a very senior person who's providing us the secrets that presidents need to know. And so, there's occasions that when we work on terrorism or something that the person might not know who we are. Like Jerry said, we might pretend to be a German or pretend to be something else. But usually our sources know exactly what they're doing.
Right. And so I'll just give you my personal journey, right? Yeah. This might surprise your audience. Like, I'm an ex-hippie, right? You see my age, but I was smoking.
Nobody even knows what hippies are anymore.
I know.
We know what hippies are.
I know we do, but we're of a certain age.
Right, of a certain age. Yeah. But I lived in Europe. I worked on it's construction site. I worked as a waiter in Germany. I smuggled cars into Iran. I got thrown into jail in Iran for smuggling cars for a little bit. I was smoking dope in Afghanistan. I was a disciple in the Sikh Golden Temple, hiked in the Himalayas. I hitchhiked through Africa, lived in the Middle East, lived in Mexico, and then I got to grow up, right? I mean, got to feed you. So I went back to
this was all about being. I thought this was all CIA oriented.
No, that's what he was doing before.
Then I went. Then I showed up in grad school. I got a degree in international business management, right? I got to fucking feed myself, and I got a letter in the mail, and it said, "Hey, basically, you're a weird dude. We've heard about you," from a professor, I think, narked on me. And they said, "Hey," and I thought, "Oh, there's no way they'll accept me, right?" Because I was going to Trotskyite meetings in Germany as a student and smoking dope. They
shouldn't have accepted you.
Well, they probably should have. But in the end, they said, no, we're looking for people with different backgrounds who problem solve differently. And I have to say, I love my 33 years in the agency.
So wait, what was the training like then? Then they, what is it called?
You got to become a lethal agent. You can't.
So John was a trainer. John actually worked out at the farm.
But there's no way you can go undercover and not be able to protect yourself. Like, why would you?
Tell us about that. Is it bullshit that you said you have to win a bar fight, but in the movies, obviously, I know you guys advise on movies. CIA fucking officers are always they're represented as being badass fighters. And do you go to do training like that? You're shaking your head, John.
No, I mean, in fact, for the most part, I never carried a gun or needed a gun. In war zones and things, obviously, we have to protect ourselves. Jerry is one of these guys riding horses in Afghanistan looking for bin Laden. And in that case, he was with special forces carrying weapons and things. But for most of our careers, not at all. Again, we're trying to just develop relationships with people who have secrets and see if we can't get those secrets. So it's more mundane in that sense. I mean, obviously, the U.S. government needs secrets from around the world, and there are dangerous places. So if we're in a dangerous place, we are trained how to protect ourselves there, how to drive, spin cars, jump out of planes, shoot things we need to. But that's not the basis of the job. Obviously, movies love that piece of it.
But that's what the audiences love.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
And it's not so, but by win a bar fight, it's really more of talking our way out of it.
There
right?
you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
fact,
I'm
with
really
guns,
good
we're
at
often
talking my way out of a bar fight.
Yeah, you'd be perfect then.
Don't get in a bar fight. There you go.
Well, I've made that mistake a couple of times where the fight's about to happen, and I found a way out of that thing.
You're smart. So that's what they do when they train us on weapons. For the most part, we're trained to what they call get off the X, which is another nice way of saying run away. Like we're trained, military. They run to the fight. Their job is to use their weapons. Our job is at last resort if we have to use a weapon. But in general, we're taught to
get
run
out
away.
of the get out of the X.
Get off the X.
Get off the X.
I like that. I'm going to try that expression in my life.
Okay, I have a secret then to ask you guys.
Ooh,
That's so funny.
Is that?
What's your secret?
Is it Putin?
We already know it, man. We already know your secret.
Is it Putin?
Is what Putin?
Is that Putin? Or is that somebody else?
Oh, is Putin Putin?
Yeah.
You know what? Yes, it's Putin. And I served in Moscow and in Russia and have dealt with Putin and a number of other KGB guys around him. But I think nowadays when you become a dictator, you start being afraid of your own people. And so I think there are some body doubles out there now, which, like Saddam Hussein and other people like that when they're worried about getting shot. So
I would do that. If I had infinite money and so many people wanted to kill me, I would certainly say go hire some lookalikes. Start with Dax Shepard.
Right, start with Dax and then get Ray Romano.
See how much Dax costs because you can do that right off the bat.
In Hollywood, you have character assassination, so it's just as bad, right?
What about the secret tools that we see in the movies? Are any of those real? Like
like smoke screen or oil slick?
No, that's fucking that's the video game we love. Spy Hunter.
Spy Hunter.
Yeah, not Spy Hunter. No, but I mean, like, is all of that bullshit? When I think of the CIA, I think of them using cool secret tools. Is any of that accurate?
Like tiny cameras in the glasses.
Bit.
Tiny cameras for sure. So what Jerry said is, our job is to, if there's a problem, to figure out how to solve the problem. And usually we try to solve it by finding a person inside an institution that we can suborn or work with or what have you. Mm. And if we need tools to do that, if you need to listen to their phones, if you need to take surreptitious pictures, if you need to surveil them, we do have people who can get us the tools and fancy things we need. But for the most part, again, it's just building relationships. We don't need those things. And in fact, when we debrief a source, that we've made sure we're not under surveillance, or we meet them secretly in a place to get information, to share the secrets with us, we don't record that. We just usually listen and remember it and go back.
Why?
And write
Because
it down.
you're worried you'd be caught. I mean, why not record it? You're worried that they'll pat you down like they do in the movies and be like,
It
John,
depends
you're
where you
recording
are.
me, you asshole.
Well, that's for sure. If you're in Moscow and you meet someone and on their way back, you're caught or something, that's certainly a concern. But also, I mean, we don't need to. We're trained to elicit information and remember what it is and write it down. So it's better not to have extra stuff.
I have two questions. I have two more questions. But
just to say,
let me write this down then.
Some of the high tech stuff exists, but increasingly and ironically, the more high tech there is, the more we go Stone Age, right? Because if there's no anything technical, like if I send you a coded message that no one can break, if you're my asset, what if 10 years from now someone can break that? You're screwed. But if it's not recorded and it's not put on video anywhere, if nobody sees it, it didn't happen.
Oh,
right?
so you have to sort of future-proof everyone's
yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
Because like that, there might be a code breaking app in 5 years, and that person
We're
will be
going back
killed.
to the 1950s. Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah, you don't want to use your
Dead
phone
drops.
because you could be tracked. Yeah, all
But the
these things.
CIA can't the CIA get into anybody's phone like if they want to?
Well, that's more the NSA's job, often helped by the CIA. So overseas, not anyone's phone, I don't think. I think there's a lot of very skilled people who can get into those kind of places, but we can come up with an operation. If we need to get into a Iranian scientist's computer, we would try to come up with a means to do that. And that's essentially what our job is. And so, yeah, we do that. But it isn't as if there's some dude sitting back here, like in the movies, clicking on his computer and they can get into anything in the world.
and on a phone, if you do a phone tap, you're talking like huge resources to listen to somebody's phone and actually understand it, especially in a foreign language, because we're not allowed to tap U.S. phones. So it takes like a team of like maybe
Sure, you're not Jerry.
Sure, you're not Jerry.
it takes. We have to abide by
You
U.S.
walked
law.
into it.
But it
sure,
takes.
you
it takes
obey
a
U.S. law,
huge-
Jerry. Wink emoji.
Americans are boring. Who wants to listen to their freaking phones? It's all low porn and shit.
I think that
Okay.
it's possible for the CIA to get into anybody's phone, at least in the country. I know that you're not.
Possible.
You don't operate in the. You're not supposed to operate in the country, right? You're all overseas.
No, they can operate anywhere. It's as long as it's secure
Oh,
in
it's
the
just.
country.
It's
There's
just. It's
security.
just. But is it foreigner related? Like, where do you not overlap with
So
the
we
FBI?
are foreign intelligence operation.
Right.
Our job is to collect foreign intelligence from China,
Right.
Russia, Iran.
Oh,
But
so you can be
can't.
doing.
So
But-
you can't. See, you can't get. Okay, thank you. There's the but.
Wait, so yes,
That is
so
fine.
we operate overseas. Our job is to recruit foreigners to collect foreign intelligence. However, we do have people in the United States who work with the FBI. So the FBI's job is to track foreign counterintelligence operators that are in the United States. And so we often work with them, and we sometimes work with U.S. companies that have relationships overseas to collect foreign intelligence. So we do have people in the United States that work on. We're not looking to
Right.
recruit Americans, but we're looking to recruit. If there's an Iranian scientist studying nuclear physics at Cal who might go
Right.
back into that thing, it would be nice to meet them before they go back.
Right. I have a question. Would the CIA ever hire a 49-year-old actor? Because this sounds very exciting. And is it too late for me to audition?
You were smart.
I bet you
Go
that
ahead.
there are actors in the industry that are already working for the CIA, Zach.
Okay. Well, I would like to audition. I'll do a monologue. I'll do whatever.
You were very smart to make your money first and then join the CIA. Our
Because
problem
there
is-
ain't no money there. There ain't no
They don't
money.
pay you well. They don't pay you well.
You got good benefits, but
What
that's
about
it.
if you're like really in deep and do you get some bonus if you're like in deep and you do something amazing and then you come back? Are they like, here, Jerry?
That's what I was going to ask you. That was my question. Has anybody ever gone in too deep? Like, is anybody?
Donald loves to
John,
go too deep.
Jerry, well, I do like to go deep. But have you guys ever? Do you know of anybody like? Do you know anybody like, yo, Sally went too deep, man. She fell in love with fucking the dude, or Jim went too deep. He fell in love with her. Does that ever happen?
Yes, but
Please tell us yes.
the
They have
yes,
kids.
No, the yes is, and this is actually serious and tragic sometimes. This job can be like an addiction, right? I mean, we have a lot of failed marriages. We have alcoholism is an issue because people are like, you work at your job and you believe in it, and I think you give up. We miss the birth of our kids sometimes. We miss things, and so yeah, I think. We also have a very low attrition rate. Like people never leave the agency. Once you're in, people are like, I love this by and large.
What I think Donald's asking is, have you guys seen
I
any
know.
real life experiences of people falling in love or getting too close to the person that they're tailing? Or
So in general, we don't. It's interesting if you see movies and stuff. The idea is we use sex to compromise.
yeah,
people.
John, you're handsome. I bet you used a lot of
thank you
sex to
very
get what you wanted. John, how many
Should've done
assets?
Especially in Russia. I bet them Russian girls was all over you.
John, how many
Oh,
assets have you had sex with? Let's just cut to the chase.
Get John to tell you his Russian girl story. It's a
Yeah,
great.
John, tell us your Russian girl story, and does it have anything to do with going too deep?
John's like, how do I answer this question? How do I get there?
So we do not use sex or compromise, because the problem is we're trying to develop relationships with people that they trust us and or support us. So they spy for us for years. If you compromise someone, they're looking to get out of it, or they're looking to screw you at the first opportunity. But I'll tell you my Russian woman story. It's a little long, but I'll tell you real quick. So when I was in Moscow, I was a CIA officer. I was undercover working in the embassy. And I met this beautiful girl at a party. It was a German diplomat was having this party. And we are not allowed to date Russians because the Russians use people against us. They try to run sources. They try to make us have sex with people so that they can then use
that must be hard
compromise.
because they seduce you.
And so I was single, and I met this woman, and she was a concert pianist, and she was just stunning. And we weren't allowed to date Russians at the time. And I met her at a party, and I said, well, maybe she's Ukrainian. So I said, let's meet.
Trying to work his way around it.
Yeah.
Trying to work his way around it. She must be Ukrainian.
Tomorrow for brunch. And so I drove home that night from the party, not with her. And I had my surveillance that followed me everywhere. I'll explain that to you later. Like Russians follow you, and they have audio and video in your house where they watch everything you do. And so I got home, and I realized, this is stupid. She's Russian. So the next morning I went to the brunch with her. My surveillance cars followed me, this fancy hotel. I had this brunch, and I said, listen, I'm really sorry. My embassy discourages us having relationships with the Russians. I think it's really nice to meet you and have brunch, but I'm going to be unable to see you again. And she got really upset. What's wrong with your embassy? The Cold War is over. This doesn't make any sense. Why can't young people meet each other? I said, listen, I'm sorry. I understand. Fast forward, about a week later, I get a call in the embassy, and it's snowing. The embassy is right in old downtown Moscow. And she called and said, can you meet me outside my conservatory? I have something to tell you. And I was like, oh, Christ. In Moscow, they're always trying to set you up with something. I said, oh, what's happening here? So I did. So at the end of the day, it was like 7 p.m. It's dark. I'm driving home. It's all snowy, and my surveillance cars are following me into the old part of Moscow. And she's standing out in front of her conservatory and on the sidewalk in a big, long fur coat. And so I got out to see her, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? This could be weird. And she said, listen, I just want you to know that I won't date you either. After I met you, the KGB came to my house. They threatened my parents. They told me I had to date you. I had to sleep with you. And they told my parents they would lose their jobs unless I continued to do that. And I now realize you're right. Your country's right. My country is still thinking in the old way. And, I understand why you did that now. And I was like, no, man, I like you more now. But it gives you a sense of
what could be worse than
how
having to sleep with John, right?
Yeah, good point. So that's to give you a sense of how the Russians are, the intensity of them trying to stop what American diplomats and American intelligence officers are doing. They are willing to use anybody, their own citizens included.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. I'm sure that a lot of officers must fall to that, even though they've been briefed on it. The powers of sexual attraction can be very enticing.
Very persuasive.
Yeah.
That's why we don't use it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that they must. Go ahead.
Well, Jerry's married to a foreigner. So if we meet a foreigner, now Moscow's unusual because they use it, the intelligence service, security service against us. If we meet a foreigner, we can date foreigners, but we have to report it for counterintelligence purposes. So it can't be used against us. So if I'm single and I meet a foreign woman and I start dating her, I just have to write to Washington and tell them everything about her, and they look into to see if there's any information on them or whatever. And so that's the process there. And so a number of agency people and also State Department diplomats and other people marry foreigners. But when you propose to marry them, you have to then break the news to them where you really work, that you work in the CIA.
That's so
and
badass.
they have to agree to become American citizens, and they have to take a polygraph.
What would be? There's
so
something.
you have to,
What's sexier than being able to tell
quit.
a woman that you're like, I have to tell you something, and she's like, I know what. Like, I work for the CIA. I'm a CIA officer, and I mean, I just feel like Donald, we should be using that line anywhere in our own lives.
So,
be careful, bro. Be careful, bro.
a friend of mine,
Counterintelligence.
Listen, you might think that I'm an actor. I understand why you would think that, but
I think actors are cool.
Actually,
we tell people we're actors.
I actually work for the CIA. I'm undercover as an actor.
so a friend of mine,
That's cool.
he was in Germany. He was dating a German woman, and he wanted to, he filled out the paperwork. She was fine. It was just, she wasn't a spy sent to get him. And so he takes her through this romantic evening. The sun's going down, and they go up to where all these vineyards are, a bottle of wine and some cheese and bread. And I think she suspects that he's going to propose. And he sits down and he says, I need to talk with you. This is really serious. He says, so the first thing I need to tell you, he says, is I work for the CIA and I want you to marry me. And she faints. Go on. And he's like, oh my God, the CIA thing. And so he wakes her, she comes to, and he goes, are you okay? He says, I'll resign from the CIA if you want. And she goes, no, I thought you were going to tell me you were gay. And he's like, what? He says, well, you always put pomade in your hair and you dress nice. And I thought maybe you were bi. And she's like, I was so certain that was what it was. And he says, no. And she goes, oh,
I just work with the CIA.
And she's like, oh, that's no problem, right? And they're still married, right? She's like, oh, no issue.
That's funny. I'm fine that we could get assassinated. I just don't want you to be bi.
That's a good question. Have you ever seen someone have you ever been next to the dude that got caught and was looking at him like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, don't say my name?
Well, no, we're usually, because we work in embassies overseas under diplomatic cover, if we're with a source and get caught, we get kicked out of the country. So to us, people say, oh, it's brave or whatever. The brave people are the sources that work for us, because those guys are committing espionage and they get arrested, they go to prison, they get shot, their family gets
What's their
arrested.
incentive?
So our job is to
you give
protect
them
those
money?
people.
Is that their incentive?
No, rarely. Sometimes.
Why did these brave people put their lives on the line?
I'll give you one story that covers both what they're facing and why. But I'm sort of mixing two stories. But I won't say the country, but one guy was a real patriot of his country, loved his country. I'm not going to say where. Right. He loved his country. And I'll tell you more later. Yeah, he and I would meet. And eventually he says to me, I need to borrow $1,000. And I'm like, okay. He knows I'm CIA, by the way. And I know he's an intelligence officer with his country. And we're working together on a common thing, but we don't trust each other, which is another weird angle on this. And he says, look, I know what you're thinking because you're a CIA guy. You're not going to fucking recruit me, right? I'm not recruitable, but I need the money. And I said, sure, but I can ask why. And he says, well, my daughter needs an operation. And in the country where it was, the medical care isn't very good. And I want to get a doctor with more training. And I'm like, okay, but why don't you borrow $1,500 and get a real, decent medical care? He goes, no, this is good enough. It's just a basic thing on, it's a stomach operation. It's pretty run of the mill because his country's health care industry had sort of broken down. His insurance didn't really work because it was all corrupt in this country. And so later I met him, and I have daughters too. And I brought him some Beanie Babies and a video from a Disney film. And I see him and I say, hey, how's it going? And he's got a bag with him. And in the bag, he's on the top of it are some Beanie Babies I'd given him from before for his daughter, and who was 5. And he hands me the bag and he says, no, this is for you. I said, no, keep them until she gets better. And he said, my daughter died on the operating table. She bled to death. He says, because we don't have medical care, because the president and my boss stole all the insurance money and I can't get it. He said, that's it. He said, I am a patriot. I love my country. My government has betrayed my country. This is pretty serious shit. This is wrong. And he says, I'm in, right? I'm going to use you, CIA, as my weapon of revenge, making it right. There's shit you need to know. And he says, we're all over you. People who are working with you, they work for us. And I'm going to tell you who they are. So fast forward, sort of a blend in the story, but we're driving through the night. At nighttime, I pick him up at a place, and we're driving along and we're talking, and there's a surprise checkpoint in front of us. So there's militia guys wearing the mirror sunglasses at night, weapons, they're high, and we ride into this thing, and I'm like, oh fuck. And I don't smoke, but I've got a carton of cigarettes. Ride into this checkpoint, and I give the head, I'm like, hey man, nice night. Here's some cigarettes, American diplomat. And they let me through. And he's sitting next to me, this guy. And as we drive through, I look at him and I'm like, oh, that worked. He pulls out a Makarov and he says, very serious, he says, they wouldn't take us alive. I'm thinking, fuck us. Like, I got diplomatic immunity. All they do to me is like throw me out of the country, but he would be executed, right? So it's a serious thing, and it can be, but it's
It sounds like the CIA in other countries is what we're talking about, Zach. They're the ones that are freaking like, I'm gonna sleep with you, I'm gonna shoot your ass,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do all of the things that y'all aren't willing to do. Y'all are like Batman and fucking, you know what I mean? Or like Superman, and everybody else is like the vigilante that's willing to do anything and everything.
Yeah,
It
James
seems
Bond,
like-
keep in mind, he was English. So
Right.
maybe.
And that's
the-
why he was able to sleep with all these women.
Yes. Maybe the English MI5 has different rules. They're allowed to have
They're like,
lots
you
of
can
sex.
fuck and you can shoot anybody
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, that's what you learn. That's what you learn on day one. Hey guys, before we start stretching and doing some exercises, you guys are allowed to fuck whoever you want,
yeah.
and we're going to give you
Democracies don't allow that.
and we're going to give you an Aston Martin.
Right.
Really for this amount.
Hey guys, just try out your Aston Martins and then meet back here for stretching. All right, guys.
That sounds. I'm sorry, Jay, but that sounds like the most dangerous thing ever, man. I'm sorry. I like. It's great to be an actor and to tell lies in front of a camera and everything like that, and get paid to do that shit. But to go into a foreign country and then make up a completely new identity and have to stick to the Bible that you've created so that you don't get caught out there, or to go there and nobody else can know that you're CIA, but trust one person to tell them, listen, I'm CIA, hook me up. That sounds like the most dangerous thing on the planet to me. And I don't know why anybody would ever want to do that without some form of protection or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but most CIA officers take a cut in pay to do this, right? I mean, with our backgrounds and things like that. We could have gone into banking or Wall Street and made
It's
4 or
the
5 times
adrenaline.
enough.
It's the thrill, right?
No, it's the mission. Like,
Yeah.
we feel that we're working on the issues that matter, right? So whatever, right now you can imagine what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Iran, and North Korea is developing nuclear weapons. We're trying to find the answers to questions that the administration needs to make smart policy. Now, they don't always make smart policy, even if you bring them good information. That's a different thing altogether. But, we feel like you're doing something that matters. And the people who are helping you are risking their lives because they believe in the United States. They believe the United States can help them because their country is either greedy, corrupt, or violent or what have you. And they're working with us to try to fix things for their family and their country. And that's pretty heady stuff. It's fun.
And I know your audience is going to think like, oh, it's CIA. So CIA, let's get up front. CIA has got skeletons in its closet, right? It's an organization made up of people. So we have fuck ups. We get things wrong. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. You can look back in history and there's all sorts of things that like back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s that we shouldn't have done that I think are immoral and wrong. But, that's sort of the way it is.
What is the podcast that you guys do as we wrap up? Tell us about your show.
It's called Mission Implausible. And the notion was, like Jerry said, we do, we were, in a certain sense, we're conspiracists overseas. We were trying to hide our real intentions from those that were tracking us and following us. So we did small c conspiracy. So the idea is we're going to look at conspiracy theories and try to dissect them and interview people. And, it's similar to your program. It's mostly lighthearted and sort of banter. And we've looked at Bill Gates microchips. We've looked at chemtrails, Jewish space lasers.
What? Wait, hold on.
We've done Hunter Biden's laptop. We've done Havana syndrome. We've done UFOs.
Oh,
we've done
wow.
the deep state. We've
Killer
done Denver
sharks.
Airport under
That's
the Illuminati living under Denver.
Have you done Kim Jong-un? Is that really him, or is he dead and somebody else is running the country? Like, what's going on?
If you know something, we can have you on to talk about
I
it.
don't know anything. All I know is what I hear in the media, and it sounds like the media is part of this whole conspiracy machine that's going on.
Clickbait,
All right.
baby. The people love
Well,
it.
thank you guys. The podcast is called Mission Implausible. You guys are so interesting, and thank you for
We'd
your
love
service.
to have you back for a part 2 at some point.
Yes.
Anytime.
If you guys could go do a little recon on aliens and come back, it would be great.
Yeah, we were too helpful on that. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all right. We
No.
appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Totally appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
That was great.
They were actually great, man. They were, I wish they would have answered the alien question
Well, they don't know anything about that.
because I don't think,
For
it's
some
a-
reason, you and I both thought the CIA would have alien information, but I think it's not their department.
Well, then we need to find out who does have this.
Yeah,
information.
Joelle, can you book the guy, the night manager of Area 51?
That'd be
Just
an
wanna know
amazing
something.
interview. Are you kidding me? Let me see what I can do.
I
Yeah,
wish you
they're
could
great,
book the
great
fighter
storytellers.
jet pilot that have you got the thing I'm talking about.
Yeah,
just look,
dude.
Just
Yeah,
look on YouTube with the guy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up what's it
He
called?
tracked it. And
Oh yeah, look up UFO Tic Tac on YouTube, and this fighter jet
But how?
pilot.
I have a question. How big was the actual? It's not the size of a Tic Tac, obviously, but him trying to pin it with it, right?
The size of a Tic Tac. He
Right.
sees it and he's following it. And
No, but he doesn't see it outside the window. He sees it in the computer, I thought, and then he locks
Yeah.
onto it.
No,
with
he's
the
just
camera.
no, it's not a computer. It's his goggles with night vision, I believe.
And then he locks onto it with the goggles.
Right, and he's freaking out. He's like, "Look at this thing! Look how this thing's moving!" He's freaking out, and he's like,
I wonder the
"Whoa!"
size of that thing. I wonder what the size.
But I like
of
that in your mind you were like, you questioned whether it was the actual size of a
No,
Tic Tac.
I knew it wasn't the size of a Tic Tac because that wouldn't make sense. How would he
By the way,
see
how
it?
funny would it be if aliens finally invade and they're like, they come in the size of a real Tic Tac?
That'd be amazing.
They're like, "We're here to take over."
But it's cajillions of them now.
Right, but they all they land their little Tic Tac and they're like, "We're
Yeah.
getting out!
Oh my
We're
goodness.
getting out!"
We'd win for a little bit, but it would be like Gulliver's Travel, where we'd be fucking stuck on the ground and everything. They'd get us eventually.
Ugh. I gotta tell you, I think I would really love to ride one of those dune snakes.
The sandworm.
Yeah, the sandworm. I would love to fucking get my clippers in there and ride it.
Your
That's what
clippers.
that's what it must be for Casey when she has sex with you.
Wait, are you calling my penis a sandworm?
Yeah, she has does Casey have giant clippers that she clips in to ride it? Yeah, you should role play.
Lisa Guy!
You should role play that she's riding your sandworm and have her yell about it.
I don't like it.
That's what I'm gonna get you for your birthday. I'm gonna get Casey 2 of those fucking extender claw clicking worm riding things.
To click onto my sandworm.
Yeah, ride it.
I don't know how well.
I'm gonna get her a
that'll go over.
thumper. I'm gonna get a little thumper that you put in the bedroom. All right, everybody, that's our show. Thank you for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. Be safe out there. Be kind. 5, 6, 7,
Some
8.
stories about a show we made about a bunch of docs and nurses and